We are finally at the end of 2024, so it's time to do my favorite video of the year, and that is ranking my top 10 favorite movies of 2024. Welcome back to a brand new ranking video here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinnenberg. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications as we head into a new year, a new movie and TV show reviews, out of theater reactions, these type of rankings as well as a box office show every single week. So please subscribe, ring the bell as we head into 2025 together. Comment down below, what are your top 10 favorite movies of the year? This is just my ranking. I want to hear your guys' ranking. What are you passionate about? I respond to all comments, so definitely please comment down below. Let's have a fun discussion about our best moments and movies of the year. Also, please hit that thumbs up button down below. So I have done full reviews for every movie that I'm going to mention. I have seen 100 movies here in 2024 that are new releases. I try to at least get to 100 every year, so my goal is for next year to at least get to maybe 20 next year. Hopefully we get to that point, guys. The more you guys support the channel, the more possibilities that I can get there. So please continue supporting the channel. But without further ado, let's get into my top 10 of 2024. I will give 5 honorable mentions, which are my 15 through 11 films of the year. If you want to follow me on Letterboxd, you can below. You'll see my all the movies I've seen so far this year ranked. But my honorable mentions are Cadu Lake, Civil War, Deadpool and Wolverine, Long Legs, and Terrifier 3. Those are my 5 honorable mentions. So without further ado, let's get into my top 10 movies of the year. Starting at number 10 is DreamWorks' The Wild Robot, a movie that I didn't really find that exciting or thrilling in the trailers. I'm a big DreamWorks fan, but it's a movie that I wasn't particularly going out to see willingly, excitingly, I guess I can say. And the reviews were really good. I was like, wow, the reviews are kind of strong for this movie. So let's just see what it's about. And this is one of the most emotionally moving films of the year. No matter if you're a child, a parent, a teen, any gender, it is a very powerful film. Yes, just to have the usual fun action scenes, fun characters, they're animals. It does feel like a usual animated film that you'll see that most kids will like and most adults will hate. But this is the perfect family film, which, yes, does it have its fun jokes and action scenes? It does, but it comes with really powerful messages that have still stuck with me since seeing the movie over the summer. Some really good voice work with Lupita Nyong'o and Pedro Pascal in particular, giving really good work. I understand why this could be higher on more people's list, but The Wild Robot for me comes in at number 10. Coming in number 9 for me is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, the prequel to one of the best action films of all time in Mad Max Fury Road. And I think that while this is not on that all-time level like Fury Road was, this is a near perfect prequel for Furiosa. We learn about her life, both with the young actress who plays her in the first half of the movie, who's played by Lila Brown, and then obviously the closer to Charlize with Anya Taylor-Joy. Chris Hemsworth gives his best performance of his entire career in this film as Dementis, who is the big bad for the film. George Miller, when he is hitting on high gears, he is hitting on high gears. And the movie has really exciting cuts and action set pieces. The world feels lived in as always. And for a movie that I was very nervous about because I have such reverence for Fury Road, the fact that this movie is in my top 10 of the year shows you how much I adore Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Coming in at number 8 is Pixar's Inside Out 2, a film where I really adored the first one now, closing in on 10 years now from the first film. And I remember being excited, but not super excited because of Pixar's recent last couple of films. But this was, for me, the most emotional that I got in a theater all year long. And I remember feeling choked up watching the film and then really actually crying when I got home and thinking about the film. Because before I even do these reviews, I like to think about it, digest the film, and then give my thoughts. And obviously, yes, are the old characters great? Yes, but the inclusion of anxiety really took this movie to the next level. Once again, beautifully voiced by Maya Hawke. And I've been very open on my Pixar rankings and my Inside Out 2 review that I have been dealing with anxiety for the better part of 5 years now. And and it's something that kids think is such a bad thing in their lives and they want to just get rid of it forever. And I think that this movie's messaging with anxiety, where it might seem like she's a villainous character towards the beginning of the movie, but then the message is really powerful to me. And there's a scene where Riley does have a full-on panic attack towards the third act of the movie. And that was one of the first times I really felt seen in a movie in a long time, because I've gone through that, if not daily, weekly, over the last 5 years, and it can just happen. It really spoke to me. So Inside Out 2 for me, guys, comes in at number 8. Coming in at number 7 for me is a Best Picture frontrunner and Anora. This is a movie that I absolutely love. Mikey Madison, for me, still male or female, delivered the best performance of the entire year. It's a film that has a concept and a plot that you've seen in a billion movies, where the wrong person marries a regular person, marries a wealthy person. That turns out to be the wrong thing. But this movie really takes it on its head, as it is someone who is extremely poor in the character of Annie, who's a sex worker, meeting Yvonne, who seems like a pretty decent dude, but once things hit the fan, things completely change. And I think this is one of the best films at showing class and wealth and the class system in any society, where you have someone, and I think what's beautiful about the movie is, for really, there's one person who has her entire life on the line throughout the entire film, and that is Annie. Everyone else is wealthy, rich. They're just trying to quiet things up, sign some papers, and move on from their lives, while she believes that she is signed on for the rest of her life. And I think that that is really beautiful. Igor, played by Yuri Borisov, gives also, for me, one of the strongest supporting turns of the entire year. He really becomes the heart of the movie towards the last like 45, 50 minutes of the film. And that character with him and Annie towards the end was something I was not expecting when the movie started or when they first interacted. It has an amazing performance. Sean Baker is one of the best working filmmakers today, and Anora rightfully should be a front runner for Best Picture at the Oscars in a couple of months. At number 6 for me is Wicked, and I am on the Wicked train. I am someone who is actually a big fan of movie musicals more than Broadway itself. And this was a really well executed musical from John M. Chu, who did a great job doing In the Heights, but he really upgraded from the production level, the scale of the film with Wicked. Cynthia Erivo, obviously, I knew would command this film, and she is really excellent in the film. She's not getting as much credit as other performances in the film, because everyone knew who she was and knew the talent, but without her, again, this movie also falls apart. But obviously, Ariana Grande for me is the massive standout. Not being the biggest fan of her music, but enjoying her kind of when I was watching Nickelodeon. Never thinking she could ever become an actress after her pop star career. But she delivers for me one of the top 3, 4 best performances of the year in this film. She brings the comedy, horror. You want to hate her at times. You want to love her and hug her at times. She can be insufferable. She can be loving. It's a really complex performance, and that's all without her not singing. And obviously, we know her talent on a singing level. This is a really fun, bombastic, epic musical that I'm very excited for part 2 next year. So Wicked Part 1 comes in at number 6. Now into our top 5 of the year, guys, and hitting number 5 is Nosferatu, the most recent theatrical release that I saw in 2024. This is the best horror film of the year, in my opinion. Robert Eggers is in my top 3 or 4 filmmakers working today, and this feels the perfect culmination of his entire work, from The Witch to the Northman and The Lighthouse, and it all compiled into this beautifully epic gothic horror film that is pretty deflating to watch. It is a pretty depressing film from the opening scene to the last shot of the movie. Lily Rose Depp, who I'm going to keep banging this table to tell you guys, gives one of the best performances of the year and needs to be a factor in award season. Obviously, so far, she has not been. She truly commands the last half of the movie. She has panic attacks. She has possession. She can act normal. She's trying to balance who she's actually in love with, if that's her actual husband, who's played very well by Nicholas Hoult, or Count Orlok, played by Bill Skarsgård. And Bill Skarsgård totally transforms in this villainous role, where most of the time you wouldn't know who is performing Count Orlok. It's a very transformative performance. A lot of acting this day today, you kind of have to know who the actors are, and when you get transformed like Skarsgård does to Orlok, that is a huge compliment that most people had no idea who played Orlok until after the movie. That's a testament on how strong Skarsgård is in this film. It is Aaron Taylor Johnson, Emma Corrin. This movie is very dark, has obviously the plague. You have, Willem Dafoe being all over the top, which I really enjoyed. But Nicholas Hoult being the most down-to-earth, regular guy makes this movie a lot more real and intense. So, notes for, I've already talked about this movie last week, but this movie is in my top 5 for the year. At number 4 for me is a movie that probably most people have not seen, but I have been trying to tell everyone who in my life who has not seen the movie to see it, and that is My Old Ass. Luckily, I got to see this movie in the theater, and this is the biggest surprise of 2024. If you're not familiar with My Old Ass, it stars Maisie Stella as the character of Elliot. She is, about to go off to college, and before she does, her and her friends do some weed and some drugs, and it leads to her going on the trip where she's talking to her older self, who's played by Aubrey Plaza, but realizing actually the day after she does all of this, that for some reason she can actually continue to talk to her older self. And this heads into a relationship with the character of younger Elliot and Chad, who's played by Percy Hines White. This was honestly, outside of Inside Out 2, is one of the most moving experiences I've had all year, because this movie not just made me think about the characters in the film and the world that this movie is in, but it made me think about my life. Am I enjoying the little things that are going on in my life? Am I taking things too much for granted in my current life? And My Old Ass made me think about all of them. Maisie Stella is a star on the rise, in my opinion. I wish, hopefully, by me saying this and a lot of other critics having this film in their top 10 of the year, hopefully Maisie Stella gets a lot more work. Aubrey Plaza, who's not in the movie that much, when she's in, absolutely delivers, especially her final scene of the movie. At times, yes, it can feel conventional, but the messaging is extremely relatable. And I think anyone, guy, girl, whatever gender, can relate to any of the characters in the film. And the fact that, what questions would you ask your older self? Would you even want to know what is going on with you in 20 years or 30 years? And would that affect your decisions in the present? There's a lot of good psychological decisions, questions that are being asked in a 90-minute teenage coming-of-age movie. And that is something that you very rarely see. Megan Park is a phenomenal director after The Fallout a couple years ago. Both her movies were in my top 10s of that year, so a lot of credit. Megan Park, also a director on the rise. And number 3 for me is Luca Guadagnino's Challengers. This movie has stuck the test of time, in my opinion. I'm someone who watches tennis on a daily basis, and I have been waiting for a really perfect. We've had, King Richard a couple years ago, but this is for me the true tennis film. Zendaya is one of my favorite performers working in the industry today. She is extremely ruthless in this film. She's playing someone you definitely don't want to be rooting for. You might understand where she's coming from, but it's someone you're not particularly rooting for. Really, all 3 characters with Mike Feist and Josh O'Connor, these are characters you're not rooting for, but even though you don't have maybe a rooting interest in any one of those people, for some reason, this movie continues to be captivating. The twists and turns of this relationship. Are people telling the truth? Are people telling lies? How they're using each other? Is it just for the sport of tennis, or is it to ruin their personal lives? It is a fascinating watch. The upbeat music from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I really enjoyed. Seems to be the most divisive part of the movie. I really enjoyed it. The actual tennis scenes were some of the best sports shot sequences I've ever seen in a movie, where sometimes you're the position of the ball, they put the camera on the ball as we're going back and forth. The action really throws you into the tennis match. It was intense. You could laugh. It was a crazy experience to see this in the theater, but Challengers has stood the test of time for me this year and is one of the best films of the year. And number two for me, talking about Zendaya, is Dune Part 2, which is an amazing film. Dune Part 1 is an excellent film, but Dune Part 2 takes it to another level. Denis Villeneuve is my one or two, really my second favorite filmmaker working in Hollywood today. And this is a perfect sequel to an already amazing original film. Timothy Chalamet, even though he's obviously getting a lot of credit now for A Complete Unknown, really took a huge step with this film as a true movie star. As Paul goes from a boy to a man throughout Dune Part 2, him and Zendaya have phenomenal chemistry. And the most underrated part of this film is Zendaya as Shani. She is the most down-to-earth person in the entire film. You believe everything she's doing in the right way. You understand why she also defies Paul at moments, but also loves Paul. And that dynamic really brings this movie together. But amazing supporting performances, easily once again the best ensemble with Rebecca Ferguson, Javier Bardem, Josh Brolin, Dave Bautista, Florence Pugh, all giving really good performances. Austin Butler plays one of the best villains of 2024. The ruthlessness of Fade is evident in this film. Hans Zimmer delivers one of the best scores of the entire year. I've seen the movie 2 times now. I can't wait to keep rewatching Dune Part 2, as hopefully we get Dune Part 3 in the near future. But a fantastic film, which was #1 for most of 2024. But #1 for me is The Substance, which will be, for me, the most unique movie theater being in a movie theater for a movie of my life, movie theater experience of my life, because you see superhero films where you're clapping. It's an amazing experience. Being in a movie where you're out loud, like I am so against people talking in the theater, but I am outwardly saying, what, WTF and holy this, and in the theater loudly, and other people around me crawling up in a ball or also giving these crazy reactions. It is an amazing theater reaction. And watching The Substance in a theater is why I love going to the movie theater once or twice a week for my life. Demi Moore delivers a career-defining performance in this film as Elizabeth, someone who obviously Demi Moore is a gorgeous woman, but also someone who feels extremely real. This is a message that is in your face. It is in your face more than anything this year, but that is the point of the movie. People are so obsessed with beauty, looking the part, and being the part, that it kind of destroys them. We see that not just in real life, but we really see that on full display in Hollywood. And having someone who's like Demi Moore being like, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not good enough, I would do this thing, leading to Margaret Qualley, who's also really excellent in the movie and should be nominated at the Oscars. She's equally terrific. Demi Moore is great. Dennis Quaid also plays one of the more unlikable characters. The way the movie is shot is also great. It's the most commanding filmmaking from Coralie Fargeau I've seen all year from a director. There's so much confidence coming from the director's chair with the shot, the story, all what it goes all to making the movie. I've seen the film now a couple times. I really love The Substance. It's something that will always stick with me. And it seems like a lot of people are on my side as well, really adoring this film. So The Substance for me is my #1 movie of 2024. What are your thoughts on my ranking, and what is your ranking? Let me know in the comment section down below. Subscribe, ring the bell, comment. I'll see you guys in the next video.